Down goes the Nuggets in Denver. A blowout loss, 145 points given up. Worst loss of the year. No effort, no explosion, no nothing. Defense, you mean Denver, not Denver. And then Jamal Murray has quite the comments after the game. Are they a big deal? But really, why is the public so upset about it? I think there's another story to tell. And we're also going to talk about the Nuggets being a championship contender. This is your brother Ryan. This is Swipa. Y'all, this is Locked On Nuggets.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to Locked On Nuggets. This is your host, Swipa. This is your team every day. I'm here with Ryan Blackburn, a.k.a. Ryan Chartburn, y'all, and this is going to be a fantastic episode, and I guarantee you, you're going to get more effort today than you might have got last night. Y'all, today's episode is sponsored by BILT. Start earning points on rent you're already paying by going to joinbilt.com/lockedonnba. That's joinbilt.com/lockedonnba. Yo, the Denver Nuggets, they get blown out in Denver with 145 points given up and one of the worst defensive efforts I have ever seen in my life. It was a horrific game, and I know y'all got a chance to hear from Ryan last night. I know you got a chance to hear from Matt last night, and you're like, what is Swipa thinking? Apart from Swipa on the YouTube channel, well, you didn't see me on PC today. What's Swipa think about that New York Knicks loss about 16 hours later? The Knicks loss. I am just a little frustrated, Ryan.
Yeah.
I think that it's not that I expected these losses to go away. It's not that I expected these not to happen, but you knew what you were getting into. You know, you beat the Lakers, and then you come back, get a chance to extend the win streak to 2. You know, you're 6-0 or you're 6-1 with Joker in the last 7 games when he's played. It's like, all right, you know, let's keep the momentum going up. And in the first quarter, the defense was actually okay at the very start. I mean, Cat missed his. I think Cat. Don't get me. I think Cat missed his first 3 shots in that game. I'm not sure. I know he probably went like 1 for 3, and then he basically went 12 for 12 the rest of the game. And the start, I was like, all right, you know, getting a little physicality and all that other stuff. But man, the end of the first quarter happened. They're down 12. I'm just like, all right, so it's going to be Dallas all over again. And then they get in the second half, right? And I'm like, all right, third quarter time, Nuggets, you know, overcoming a 24-point lead, baby. Yeah. Yeah. And then they were like, defense, rotations, effort. Nah, I'm good. Ryan, it was a disaster class. And everybody, starting at the top with Jokic, they all absolutely fell apart yesterday defensively. And I don't know, were you surprised that it happened like that?
No, I wasn't, honestly. I thought that, just kind of talking about it on different platforms, I thought that Denver would have a really hard time defending the Knicks. Brunson, Towns, the problem was OG going for 40 points.
Career
40
high.
Points in that one. That is a despicable defensive performance from your Denver Nuggets wings, that's for sure. Anybody that was on rotational help was not on rotational help. They were not doing a darn thing in that particular game. And like, it's just not a surprise to me that coming off of a fun game on Saturday, there was a little bit of a letdown effect happening. I thought that Denver would at least fight a little bit harder in the second half, that's for sure. But the fact that they had 3 quarters in a row where they gave up at least 36 points, like that is a horrible effort, and they deserve to be crapped on for it. Like, honestly, this was a clear showcase of how much they care. And they didn't care enough.
Just for context, Jalen Brunson, 23 points, a career high, 17 assists, 4 or 5 from 3. OG Anunoby, a career high, 40 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 5 of 7 from 3, 16 to 23 from the field. And then you had Karl Anthony Towns, 30 points, 15 rebounds, and 4 assists on 12 of 15 from the field, 4 of 6 from 3. They got dominated. They were a plus 19, plus 21, plus 18, plus 21, plus 13 off the bench. Miles McBride, 13 points on 3 of 6 from 3, plus 10. Campaign, 11 points on 2 of 5 from 3, a plus 21. They dominated. I mean, really, it was just a demolition from the start. And I think for me, Ryan, I'm just kind of like, the Western Conference is really kind of bungled up right now, even at the top, 4 lost teams, and the Warriors get blown out. The Knicks had just lost to the Jazz. They had gone on a little bit of a win streak. They lose to the Jazz. Their defense is abysmal, as it's been all year. And because after the game, Nuggets fans were like, man, their defense is like really good. And, this and that. I'm just like, no, their defense has been abysmal for most of the year. The Karl Anthony Towns, Jalen Brunson defense has been getting cooked for most of the year. But then the Nuggets, they just kind of conceded a little bit. So I don't know, man. Like, are there any positive takeaways for you last night? I thought Jamal Murray looked a little bit more crisp than he normally does. But, again, it's hard to look crisp and get blown out in the same game.
Yeah, Murray's defense was also horrible. But I thought that the offensive side of things, it looked like he was getting to spots a little bit better. He was a little bit more definitive. I even asked him about that post game, and he's like, brother, I don't care. Like, we're down 35 was his general vibe for that. And honestly, I appreciated that reaction. Like, just don't nothing about yourself in a moment where the team sucks. Right. Russell Westbrook in the fourth quarter had 24 points in about 9 minutes worth of game time. That was really cool to see. And I honestly thought, like, the crowd was into it. The crowd was way happier after that point, because at least they got to see something positive. They got to see somebody care. And that was good. That was good to see. Like, not everybody phoned it in last night. I thought that Russell Westbrook looked pretty good. And he didn't look good in the first half, but he at least took that as a personal affront and then tried to change things up in the second half. And that's really good. But I don't know, man. It's not a lot to look forward to in a moment like this, where the team just, it felt like they phoned it in from the start.
Yeah. And shout out to Russ. I do want to give Russ credit. 27 points in total. He was still a minus 16. The first half wasn't good. Really, the first 3 quarters wasn't great for Russ either. He also was turning the ball over. He was forcing a lot of shots, getting stripped. But in the fourth quarter, and maybe if the game was close enough, Ryan, it was like a 12-point deficit. Russ would have given that effort. They might have been able to win the game. But the problem is when you get down 26, 28 points, like, it's almost impossible to be able to sustain that kind of effort and then to try to crawl back into the game. And what I love about what Michael Malone said at the end of the game, he said, this is not just today. We also phoned it in the first half versus the Dallas Mavericks. So this quarters in their last 12 where their defense has been nowhere to be seen. And the care hasn't been there. The effort hasn't been there. And it can't be the malaise of being tired. That's the thing about the Nuggets team that always frustrates me. It's not a tired thing. They haven't even played a bunch of games. They're actually playing some of the least amount of games so far in the league. Jokic comes back. Coach Malone's like, just because, Jokic is here, you can't, like, everybody's just like, okay, Jokic is here, we'll take our foot off the pedal, all that other stuff. You can't do that. And it really is just wild to me that this team can still, year in and year out, have like 1 or 3 games over the course of a year. They will just kind of bail out on all defensive principles, all defensive fundamentals, and it's really just going to be a high-scoring game from there. And if they can muster up the effort and the consistency offensively, then it's going to be a good game, or they'll just not show up at all, and the score looks like it does, 145 to 118. So it's just disappointing we're still here.
Yeah, I've been still here, and this is, like, at some point you are what your record says you are, and Denver's 9-7, and they are, like, I think a couple of hero close games away from being 8-8 or 7-9. They've been an average team, and the actual average for them has been pretty ugly. Like, it's the average is effectively, like you said, it's when Jokic puts it into gear and carries the team and puts them on his back, then they're going to look pretty good. Then they're going to look like a pretty awesome team. When he's not his perfect self, which he wasn't last night, then there's a lot of holes, and there's nobody, and I mean nobody, that can step up and fill in that gap because Denver just has too many.
So per dunks and threes, Denver prior to yesterday, in terms of net rating, they had the 6th highest net rating, I believe, before the game. They now have fallen to 10th. They had a plus 3.6 yesterday. They're at plus 2.7 now, but that's because their defense dropped from 12th to 15th in one game. And the Knicks, who were behind them, the Knicks have now creeped up to a plus 4.4 after one game. So again, it just goes to show you, like, games like that are huge swings to start the year off. And we're going to talk on the other side because there's some things that Jamal Murray did say and did talk about. And I want to get some clarification here, but also I think this is a part of a larger discussion as well. We're going to talk about all that and more here at Locked On Nuggets. Yo, I think one of the things that a lot of us care about is that when we're paying rent, we want it to be as easy as possible. And then there might be some ways for you might be able to benefit from that. PSA for anyone who rents. If you haven't heard of BILT, you're about to thank me. Earning points on rent is now a reality. You have to check with your landlord to start earning points that you can use towards flights, hotel stays, fitness classes, and even your next rent payment. Let me break it down for you. There is no cost to join BILT. And as a member, you'll earn valuable points on rent and your everyday spending. BILT points can be transferred to your favorite hotels and airlines, and even the ones you haven't heard of. There are over 500 airlines and 700,000 hotels and properties around the world you can redeem your BILT points towards. Points can also be redeemed towards a future rent payment and unique experiences that only BILT members can access. So, if you're not earning points on rent, my question is, why not? Start earning points on your rent you're already paying by going to joinbilt.com/LockedOnNBA. That's joinbilt.com/LockedOnNBA. Make sure you use our URL so that they know we send you. Join BILT/LockedOnNBA to start earning points on your rent payments today. We'll be back for more here on Locked On Nuggets. Welcome back to Locked On Nuggets. This is your host, Swipa, with this boy co-host, Ryan Blackburn, aka Ryan Sharpburn. Thank y'all so much for being here today. Make sure, y'all, if you're listening to us on the Apple iTunes side, give us a 5-star review. That way more and more people can get involved with the great content being made here at Locked On Nuggets. If you're on the YouTube side, I want to see us get to 10,000 subscribers. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell your uncle, tell your grandparents, tell your auntie, tell your sister, tell your friend, tell your homie, tell your teacher, tell your employer, tell everybody that if you're a Denver Nuggets basketball fan, this is the place to be. Now, Ryan Blackburn, I would actually like you to provide some context here because you were in the media room. Jamal Murray, at the end of the game yesterday, offered some insight as to why yesterday went the way that it went and some overall insight to what happened in LA. Can you provide us some context behind that conversation?
Yeah, so effectively, Murray was asked multiple times in different varieties in different ways why the Nuggets sucked last night. What happened? Why the effort wasn't there? What happens in those situations? How do you coach effort? What's the important thing there? And his, one of the responses that he had was focused on how they stayed over in LA on Saturday night. They were coming off of a really good win. They had some folks in LA, some family members in LA. So they decided, rather than, because they would have gotten back into Denver if they had chosen to fly out that night, Saturday night, they would have gotten back into Denver Sunday morning at 4 o'clock, maybe even going to bed at 5 o'clock in the morning. So they decided, to hell with that. Let's just spend the night here and then leave in the morning or leave the next day. And that's really all that he said. And maybe they're he was talking about how it could have affected them in the royal we. It was just everybody involved. Because they were going to go out, they're going to enjoy themselves after a big win. And he was just talking about how maybe that affected them. He's trying to come up with reasons, trying to come up with something that was at issue, why their effort may not have been up to their highest standard. When I was in that room, I didn't actually think that it was that bad. I thought that he was trying to explain. He was trying to give an answer. He was trying to provide some context for people as to why the effort wasn't where it needed to be. It wasn't him deflecting. It wasn't him saying, "Oh, we don't want the criticism," or there was the reason why it was okay. He knows it's not okay. I think the entire team knows it's not okay. He was at least trying to provide reasons for it, and I appreciate that, because in that situation, when you're being asked the same question 5 to 7 times, and you're trying to come up with different reasons why it's not going well, he at least tried to provide one and tried to be honest in a situation like that. So I didn't have a problem with it, but obviously the quotes that come out and the lack of context that comes out, it went very viral on First Take this morning. That's for sure.
Yeah, and just to be very specific about the part that I think that riled people up, Harrison Wynn had a direct quote, said, "It's a long season. Guys have lives outside of basketball. We just beat LA. In LA, we got some guys who live in LA, so stayed in LA. I don't think the focus was there from everybody, and that's what happens when you don't have the focus." And then Jamal Murray then responded on Twitter, because I think he was hearing a lot of backlash for what how they were responding to the quote. He said, "We all stayed in LA, by the way. It had a great win, not excluding myself, guys. We didn't play together tonight." So, Ryan, I think that a lot of this is the real reason why people are upset with that quote, Ryan. Are you ready for this?
Yes, sir.
17.8 points per game.
Yeah.
4.4 rebounds per game. 6.0 assists a game. That's pretty good. 1.2 steals. 0.5 blocks. 36 minutes a game. 33.7% from three. 40.2% from the field. And 78% from the line on 51.7 true shooting. That's why people are actually upset with what he said. Jamal Murray has not performed up to par. He has not been good enough. He has not been a quality secondary option this year for the Denver Nuggets. He has waxed and waned on effort. His defense has been bad most of the year. His offense has been bad for a lot of the year, even if they're winning on the court with him, which they're dominating on the court. He got a new contract extension for 4 years for $208 million, and this is his worst season, basically, since his second year in the league. And then you couple that with record being what it is, which is 9-7. And then on top of that, dealing with the reality that they are just quite simply, for many people, including myself to some degree, they're not playing as well as they should around a generational year from a generational player. And I think for Jamal Murray to say that, given some of the things that have happened historically with this team and how things are going this year and how he played in the Olympics and how he played last playoffs, for me, that's where all the energy is coming from. If Jamal Murray was averaging 23, 4, and 7, shooting 47, 41, 90, and their record instead of this 9-7 was, I don't know, let's just say 12-4, I think the whole conversation around him would be different.
Yeah. Hard to argue with much of any of that. I think that the UFC fight that he also went to in New York in between the road trip that he went to, that also is one that's going to leave a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, because when you talk about having lives outside of basketball, that's not tremendous when you're allowed to do that when you're performing on the court. You're allowed to do that when you are at your apex, when you are clear, everybody can see visually, everybody can see just in the emotion that you're providing, in the ways that you're providing for your team, just how much you care, how much you can do. And he hasn't shown that this year, just straight up. It has not been good enough. And outside of a couple of games where the Nuggets went basically undefeated when he was out due to a concussion, the entire rest of the time has been pretty substandard for Jamal. and for the Nuggets specifically, but especially for Jamal. You're right that when you play well, when you do more, when you show up on a consistent basis, then it wipes away a lot of the possible criticisms and like, okay, yeah, this kind of game happens for sure within the grand scheme of most teams. Like most teams will have a game like this, but there are certain teams that you don't worry about in these situations. The Nuggets used to be that team, and I still think they might be, but right now they don't look like a championship team. Right now they don't look like a team that has the championship culture in order to bounce back from something like this. Like, who are they going to listen to? Who's going to be the leader? Are they going to listen to Jamal? Why would they listen to Jamal? What has he shown? Like, has he shown any like reason to do that? I don't know. I don't think that they've really seen enough from Jamal. I don't think that the team has felt that from him, like that 100% commitment in this situation.
Mm-hmm. Well, on the other side, we're going to answer that question. Are they a championship contender as currently constructed? We're going to talk about all that and more on the other side here at Locked On Nuggets. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.25% APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on IRA account contributions. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhoodgold.com. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rates may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. And y'all, I don't know about you, but I like to feel comfortable, Ryan Blackburn. I like to feel good underneath my pants. I like to feel good underneath my shirts. I like to know that when I'm going somewhere, that I feel good, I look good, everything, lotions on, I got the shoes nice and done up, the pants look good, and I go to the gym. I want to make sure everything is rep really well. And yo, when I found out that Skims was making underwear for men, I have to admit I was pretty excited. My lady has been buying Skims for a while and is always raving about how comfortable the underwear is. So I knew that they were going to come through with their men stuff. I'm telling y'all, as you know, I work out all the time, and you can get stretch boxer briefs with them. When I tried the Skims stretch boxer brief, it felt like I could finally found the missing link. They give me all the movement I need for working out without feeling like I'm walking around and wearing gym clothes the rest of the day. Plus, they never lose their shape or ride up. And maybe it's my head, but I swear, since I started wearing these, my gains have improved too. What time it is, y'all? So make sure, shop SKIMS Men at skims.com/LockedOnNBA. Let them know that we sent you after you place your order. Select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. And if you're looking for the perfect gift for the whole family, Skims just launched their biggest holiday shop ever. Also available at skims.com/LockedOnNBA. We'll be right back for more here at Locked On Nuggets. What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Locked On Nugget. This is your host, Swipa, Skims Merchant. Shout out to you. This has been a great episode so far, Ryan Blackburn. And then the question that is being posed, are the Nuggets a championship contender? Championship contender. Man, yes, because they got the best player in the world. But no, when they play like this, when they're not fully locked in. They have had, how many games this year are elite defensive performance? Two. They haven't held anybody underneath 100 points all year, the entire year.
Yeah.
Now, again, some of that's for, relative to pace per play and, the era that they're in and all that stuff. I get it. But that's just not, we haven't had a Munder all year. Shout out DNVR. Not one Munder. So this is just a little interesting, right? Because their defense isn't relative to the rest of the league. It's actually not like that bad. Like, it seems like the league as a whole is struggling defensively right now. I mean, everybody is. Like, even the Minnesota Timberwolves, they have been struggling on the defensive end over the course of the year. So I think that they are. I think that they have the ability to get even better. I think that they have the stuff to get better. But again, right now, you look at the defensive rating for the Nuggets, they dropped to 15th. But guess what? Cleveland's, they're 9th. Dallas, they're 8th. Or Cleveland's 10th. Dallas is 8th. Minnesota's 9th. The Boston Celtics, I think they're 6th. Defenses as a whole, and again, by the way, the Boston, they're at 110.5 at 6. The Denver Nuggets, they're at 112.7. Like, so it's not like teams are just locking in, but it looks bad for us because we watch it every game, right, Blackburn?
Yep. Yes, sir. It does look bad, and this Nuggets team, I think, has a lot of questions to figure out. Before last night, the Nuggets were 10th in defensive rating on cleaning the glass. They've now moved down to 16th. That's what one game can do.
Yeah.
And it's because they're still, like you said, it's still relatively early in the season. Things can shift, numbers can change, things like that. The fact is that the Nuggets have been fine on defense for the most part. They haven't been elite. Michael Malone said previously that he wanted the team to be top 3 defensively, and they're not going to finish that way, regardless of what they do. But I look at this and I look at the mentality that the Nuggets have brought into this season. You get any sense of revenge? You get any sense of desire to like really prove a point? Like, you get any sense of like, hey, things didn't work out well last year. We're going to show them different. I don't sense that. It seems like everybody's going through the motions. It seems like everybody's just trying to get through the first couple weeks, the first couple months of the season. And as anybody, like, Jokic looks like he's firing on all cylinders. And like, there are some guys that like, okay, yeah, they're playing individually reasonably well. Like Michael Porter, I think, is showing some stuff on the offensive end.
Yeah.
Say it again.
Yeah. Christian Brown, Michael Porter, Peyton Watson, Aaron Gordon when he was here. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there have been guys that have really shown that. And then, like, you talk about Jamal, you talk about the backup center issues, you talk about, hey, Julian Strawther didn't look like he was ready last night, that's for sure. There's a lot of question marks that the Nuggets are now going to be seeing up and down their rotation, and this just doesn't look like the makeup of a championship team. It doesn't.
Ryan, what can I ask you very specifically? I don't mean to cut you off. I just want elaboration there.
Yeah.
Why again? They lost in the second round at home after being up 20. Jamal Murray didn't play well down the stretch of the season. Didn't play well in the playoff. Didn't play well in the Olympics. Where is it? Like, where's the kick? Now, again, there have been players that have stepped up, but where is that sense of Boston? Boston, they've lost a few games this year. They're probably not going to be quite as good regular season that they were last year. But even Boston, they won a championship last year, and they're like coming out smoking, punching everybody in the face for the most part. And they're at least, even yesterday, like when they beat the Wolves could have won that game. They have game they could have lost the NBA. Like Boston, they can have 7 losses on their ledger right now, but they have managed to squeak out those wins. And I think that's the thing, right? I'm just looking around. I'm like, man, like, where is the? But again, to be fair, the Minnesota Timberwolves got bounced, and they're at the bottom of the West almost. So, like, there's obviously a lot of variance that's happening here. And maybe that's just what it is, Ryan. Maybe it is like the NBA season right now. It's just a lot harder than we thought it would be for everybody around the league.
It might be. I don't think the Denver schedule has been particularly difficult. I don't think it was particularly difficult for Jamal Murray to show up and score against Brandon Boston.
Hey, respect. They've had the 10th hardest schedule so far this year. Respect.
I believe me. I'm not like those are the wins that Joker got for them.
Right.
Good.
Right.
Great.
Right.
But the 3 games that Joker wasn't here, specifically the New Orleans and the first Memphis game that they lost. Like, Denver had a chance to go 3-0 if Murray showed up and played effectively. Mm-hmm. If Murray and Porter in the first Memphis game wasn't great, but in the other two, he was
Second
fine.
one, yeah.
I just tend to think that the Nuggets, like, I think they continue to go laissez-faire on this season overall. But Murray specifically, it's been a lot of like last night almost was like if people are going to say that Murray is going after other people on the roster, saying, oh yeah, not everybody was engaged, things like that, it is kind of throwing stones in a glass house at this point. Like, how could he possibly look anywhere but inward on something like this? And I hope he continues to look inward. Mm-hmm. I hope he continues to try to rediscover some of the things that he can do better in this moment and be a better leader for this Nuggets team. But the fact is that version of him, I don't think is there right now. I don't think it exists right now. And until he gets back to a place where he can handle himself on the basketball court, it's going to be hard for him to be a leader off the court.
Yeah, you just made me think of something, because you know who gave the Knicks mad trouble the other night? It was Colin Sexton. And so I'm actually curious to see, like, which one of them has been better this year. Colin's only averaging 16, but he's shooting 47, 46, 88. They're really playing like very similar value. Colin just not the playmaker, but again, even in the fourth quarter, he hit 4 threes in that game in the fourth quarter versus the Knicks. And that's why I was shocked. Like, I'm just like watching the Nuggets come out. I'm like, this team ain't like, this isn't like a behemoth. And this is the thing, when they play Boston and all them, the effort and stuff, it's going to look a lot different, because we know why they're going to get for the game. What happened with yesterday? That's what I'm confused about. But the answer to the question quickly, Ryan, for you, are the Nuggets a championship contender?
No.
I'm going to say yes, but only because they have this best player in the world that's giving you a fighting chance in every single game. And maybe, I don't know, maybe they get a 2018 Braun run this year. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe the team is so mid around him that he goes 2018 Braun all the way to the NBA Finals, and that's what it is. I mean, really, right now, and obviously, I think Peyton, Christian, Michael, and I think Aaron Gordon, I think they're all going to be there and be available. But to the point of them being able to dominate, that's really going to come down to Jamal Murray. Let us know what y'all think in the comment section. You all, are the Denver Nuggets a championship contender? What do you think about Murray's comments in the post games? What were your reactions to last night's game versus the New York Knicks? This is Swipa. That's Ryan. This is Locked On Nuggets. We'll see you on the other side.